Welcome to the Vinyl Verdict. I'm Bell.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Plouffe.
I'm Adam. Did I get in time?
You gotta
get
get
in
in
Cool.
time.
I didn't want to get cut off again.
We got a special guest this week, our friend Adam Sondergard. He's here to talk about a record. What record is it?
Ooh, I brought in the legendary stoner doom album Dopesmoker by the band Sleep.
Is it legendary?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it is
really
absolutely
is.
of legend. High people,
That's
Yeah.
pretty
That's
much
it.
it.
guitarists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. I think it's legendary
guitarists.
for its format.
Monumental length.
Yeah,
Yes.
is it legendary because it's good in people's eyes?
Okay, so the reason I wanted to bring it is because there's a people think it's great. It's considered a classic, a staple of the genre, and a high watermark for the band.
Hi. Stoner
The bong watermark. So
Don't drink the bong water.
this record's very interesting because this was their major label debut.
What? Really?
Yes.
Yeah, previously they were on indie levels.
Yeah, and so this is their third album after their previous album, Sleep's Holy Mountain.
Which is really good too.
An excellent album, far more. Oh, let's just go to the start. So we're looking at the California desert, right? This is the same era where you see a lot of other famous stoner bands like Caius.
Yeah.
People.
You say
I
say
don't
I'd say
know.
Caius.
I think
I'd
it's
say
Caius.
Caius
I don't
as
know
well?
who it is,
I don't
but
know.
like
I always say I have no idea what's right.
a lot of bands of this like are cut from the same cloth. All came from this like the California desert.
Yeah.
Because what was there to do
Burning
in the desert?
Man.
Get stoned, do acid, and hang out in the desert.
Exactly. But these guys, so all of this kind of culminated into stoner rock, which is basically Sabbath worship. That's kind of what the genre is that take Sweet Leaf by Black Sabbath and make a genre out of it.
It's funny. You mentioned that. I've never thought about it that way. But all I heard during this whole thing was like Sabbath undertones, and I
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
mentioned
Very heavy
a bunch
guitars.
of like
Yeah.
really, it's a lot like Tony Iommi sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I never thought about it.
And if you go to their previous album, Sleep's Holy Mountain, which was their second album, it's really just like what if Black Sabbath turned all the knobs to dank? Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Are you telling me they like weed?
Oh yeah, they love weed. So after the success of their second album,
Sure.
they got signed on by London Records. So the record label that was representing the Rolling Stones,
Yeah, in the United States, yeah.
several other massive bands. And they go, the reason they switched to that label was because they were like, we want creative freedom.
Wow.
And London
Yeah.
was like, yeah, sure. After they did a couple of recording sessions that took about 2 months in the studio, they came to the record label with like, they're like, here's the album. And they're like,
So
this is one song. And it's 63 minutes long.
Hell yeah.
We're not going to sell this. We can't sell this because like there's no singles.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do. So that turned into this massive dispute that kind of was ongoing. So this album, which was recorded in 1997, didn't end up getting released till 2003.
No way.
And this version of it that I've brought today is from 2012, which is different than the 2003 release.
Because they
Yeah.
remastered it, right?
They remastered
No,
it.
it's a different.
They
Well,
remastered it,
its
and its
length is
a
different too.
Combination of different takes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the first actual time this album came out was in the form of a bootleg called Jerusalem.
That's
I've
the
heard
one
of
I
the.
have.
Yeah, I've heard
which
of
was
Jerusalem,
a series of edited down takes. So there's 6 tracks. They're all called Jerusalem. They're all about 10 minutes long.
Right.
But it's only about 53 minutes in length.
Yeah.
The band themselves consider this version that I brought today the like definitive version.
Right.
The
It's-
director's cut.
Sure.
They still feel that like none of the actual releases have ever captured what they were really going for 100%. But there's also disagreement within the band that it should like Al Cisneros, who was the bassist, he believes that it shouldn't have even been released. It should have just been like a
Really?
live thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Oh,
So
I
how-
can see that. Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, because my only real complaint is like, as an album, it's so weird to cut it anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to flip it from side A to B, it just isn't going to sound right unless you've got 2 turntables and you've literally got 2 copies of the record,
and then
and
crossfade
you
it.
just
Yeah,
mix it.
crossfade it right
yeah,
in,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
and we'll talk about that.
Sure.
So as this album, like once this album eventually got released, there had been all this hype built up surrounding it because this band basically disbanded immediately after this because they were like, this is BS. We don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
So it just kind of grew in legend. There's an urban myth that they received the advance from the company about $10,000, I think, was the
Spent
first
it
part of the
all
events,
on
and they
weed?
spent it entirely
Yeah.
on smoking weed.
I heard that.
They said that they only spent part of it.
Oh, well, that's different. Yeah,
So
it's like that.
after the band disbanded, they ended up going on to start some like relatively well-known establishments in the alternative metal scene, like High on Fire, which is Matt Pike's kind of sludge metal band, and then which is Al Cisneros and drummer Chris Hakias's band that follows the same kind of mantra-like meditative kind of aspects
Yeah.
of this album. The very
Chanty.
yes, the spiritual kind of sides of this album. Whereas Matt Pike, the guitarist, and you can hear this in the guitar solos on the album, went on to write some like crazy sludgy. So that brings us to today when they released it with a repressing on Southern Lord, or not today, but 2012.
Sure.
This is the 2012 repressing. It actually very recently got repressed by Third Man Records.
yeah,
Um,
it's got
August.
weed in it.
and yeah, there's $1,000. It goes for about $1,000 on the market right now, but it has an actual cannabis leaf in the pressing, as well as they've remastered it again. I'm more of a fan of how this sounds. The only thing you can get on streaming is the new remaster, which comes with also different tracks on the back out the after the main track.
Yeah, it's got Hot Lava Man.
Yeah, which was actually an unreleased track until this moment. But before, they had a live version of Sonic Titan and Holy Mountain, which is what I have in my pressing.
Right.
I guess we should talk about. Should I show off the album?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, show it
Yeah, this
off.
isn't a video podcast, but you can show it off to the
Okay.
listeners.
So this is actually a lovely pressing. It's in kind of shitty condition because I got this in
High school.
first year university, and so I have not given it. I did not give it the love and care that it needed. But this is actually the origination of this art. Was from 2012. It was for
cool.
this exact pressing. It's
pretty cool.
And it's of these like pilgrims who have these like gas masks on,
Yeah.
who are walking through the desert.
They got like AKs
I just thought
or
of Star
something.
Wars.
Yeah, it reminds
Yeah,
me
they
of
look like
Dune.
sand people,
It's
yeah.
very Dune.
It reminds me of Ralph Bakshi's Wizards,
Oh,
which
sure.
is like
Yeah.
a really weird cartoon from the 70s, but the main like villain in it kind of is like dressed up kind of like those guys. Yeah.
I follow an account on Twitter called 70s sci-fi art.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
exactly like
Yeah,
this.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's very
totally.
much the vibe.
Yeah.
I even like this like kind of like sailing ship
Yeah.
that's on it.
I think
cool.
it's a thing, isn't it? Isn't it a creature? It looks like a heavy metal cartoon, doesn't it? Sort
totally
of?
does,
Yeah.
yeah.
It looks like some sort of like a wind sail type thing.
Sure.
And then on the inside
Oh, there's
is-
more. But
is
wait.
of the gatefold,
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
It's
it's
at
the tracks at
night.
night.
it's the nighttime, and you can even see that they've
Yeah, they got the
added a
I like the
shine.
glossy,
That's
shine to
pretty.
the, tracks.
Oh.
Also like the fonts on the back and on the spine.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a terminal font almost.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's very cool. And then this pressing on the
Ooh.
inner sleeves has a track list, kind of. It's the order of the riffs.
What the hell?
So this is what they had in the studio when
not
they
on
were playing it,
cardboard.
so they could keep track of where they were in
Yeah,
the
so it's
song.
just a picture of the piece of paper they had on their wall.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
That's wild.
It's like cardboard, and it just says Dopesmoker. There's a bunch of stuff it's just like scratched out. A lot of them are just called 10, 12th riff, or Hot Lava Man riff, slow.
Oh,
So there's interesting
it wasn't
stuff in
slow enough already.
it. Yeah, I know, right? And then here's
Oh.
the pressing.
Oh, that's
It's
pretty.
It's sativa. So it's green like weed, purple like weed, and then orange like the orange bits on weed.
On weed.
Yeah.
But
Hey.
specifically sativa weed.
God, this is like
sativa,
Also,
yeah.
what is that font for sleep? I don't know. I don't like the font. It doesn't match anything else.
it's
That's
very,
just their band logo.
That's just their band
Really?
logo.
All
Yeah.
of their
I hate it.
albums
I
have that.
love that. Oh man, I
think
love
really.
the.
It's
yeah,
very
I love-
70s
Yes.
art. Yeah.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
much.
It's
Yeah.
a great logo.
I'm a '90s boy. What can I say?
The art of the album seems like it could be drawn on the side of a van.
Totally.
You know? Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
a wizard.
Some old hippie van on like a
Yeah.
Scooby Doo kind of
so
van.
when did this
yeah.
come out? The original release. It was '90.
Okay.
It was
the
recorded.
original official release was 2003.
Oh, really?
The original bootleg was 98. Or
Late
yeah,
90s,
no, I think
early
20.
2000s,
No, I
yeah.
can't remember. I think 2012 actually was the official release.
That's crazy.
It was a
took that
bootleg
long.
for that long?
Yeah, there was like never a proper
Yeah.
version that was formally released. I think it wasn't until Southern Lord that they were like, yes, this is the
Like
one.
I meant to bring it and I forgot. I have Jerusalem, the
Yeah.
bootleg, and it sounds like complete dog water. But
What's the cover and stuff look like? Any different?
it's just brown. It's
oh,
brown.
really?
It's brown with.
There's like a green one. It has like a little frame, and then it's like kind of like a
Yeah,
I don't know. It looks like a dot matrix printer version of like a horse.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
Mine's brown, but maybe it's green. But I don't know. It's kind
Whatever.
of like sort of like the color of Jake's shirt, but
All of
That doesn't
them.
help anybody.
yeah, but it's more browny olive. I don't know how to describe
Okay.
it.
Google it,
Yeah,
Yeah, Google my shirt.
listeners. Google it.
Google
Yeah,
Bell's shirt.
Yeah.
just put that in the Google search. Bell's shirt. See what comes up. That's what he's wearing.
Yeah, it's a very cool album art though. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It is very thick, like even just the jacket itself.
Yeah, they're very. I think they're both 180 gram vinyl, so a nice heavy pressing, and it sounds so good.
Gnarly.
And I was like, wanted to make sure that when I listened to the newest version on streaming, because this was gone from streaming for a couple of months, and then
Okay.
Third Man re-released it.
Yeah.
and I think that Third Man lost a little bit of the magic that's on this
Damn.
version. Like it's just such a full guitar noise. Fun fact: when these guys play live, Matt Pike plays with a stack of 11 amps.
Oh,
11
wall of
orange
sound.
amps, and all of them have their own like settings. And he basically spends the whole concert
Playing with
switching
knobs.
between playing guitar solos or turning around and playing with the knobs, just
Oh
tone
my
chasing.
God. That's
And it's
crazy.
just this massive,
Yeah.
incredible
He
sound.
truly turned it up to
11.
11.
Why don't they make 10 louder?
Because this one goes to 11.
This one goes to 11. Yeah, it's like the 4th episode we've made that joke.
Hey, it's the first time I did though.
Oh, okay.
Mark it down.
Mark it
Super
down.
fan. Put it in the wiki.
Yeah, put it in the plot of this podcast. Oh, the lore.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of initial thoughts. I've never listened to metal or anything,
Stoner
and I say
metal?
metal because that's what Spotify says it is. So, or Apple
It's
Music.
generous.
Yeah, it's
generous.
like
wrong.
doom metal, stoner metal.
I only have 3 notes written down for the intro, and the first one is bruh.
So it's,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness, it's so hard because like I don't want to sit for an hour listening to music all at once most of the time. So I was listening to it at work, and I pushed a button thinking I was in a different window, and it restarted the song. I'm like, I have no clue what minute I was at. I have no clue where I'm at. So it's really hard to take notes when it's like, man, where was I when I was listening in the car? And since
Yeah.
it sounds so similar, I didn't want to miss something when it changed. But I don't think I want to listen to metal. This is my first metal experience. I'm like, I'm
You
done
never
with
listened,
metal.
you've never
This is
listened to like
pretty different.
any other metal, because this is like very much
It's
alternative
Does
metal.
Yeah.
Fall Out
Yes,
Boy
it
count
is.
as metal?
No.
No,
Then
but
no, I
like
don't think I've listened to metal.
Metallica,
Really?
Dang.
like, and none of the big boys.
Iron Maiden,
No.
Black Sabbath.
My home life
Anthrax?
wasn't that bad. I didn't listen to
Crazy.
metal.
Whoa.
So yeah, that was definitely a challenge. Is being like holy to find.
Megadeth?
I ended up having to sit for an hour and listen, and it was sounds.
It was
I
a
listened to
long hour.
bed.
Well,
Yeah,
sounds-
listened to it in bed one night. Like I was just like getting ready for the.
That's cursed. I'd be scared.
Oh, I had the lights on, but like.
Yeah, it was lights
But
off
they
too
were
much.
flickering. The lights were flickering when the music was on.
But yeah, I was just getting ready. I was like maybe reading some stuff on the Twitter or reading the news or something, and I had the music on. You know, it's
How did it affect your mood? Do you feel like it made you happier, sadder, or nothing at all?
nah, it didn't make me feel anything.
Kind of just like
This
freaked me
album
out.
makes me feel high. Like, this is the
yeah.
only album that I actually like. I listen to it. I'm like, my eyes just get heavier. I'm like, and I like
This is those
slink back in
e-drugs.
my chair. It is.
Remember back in the
nuts.
day when it's like you put this on and you close your eyes and these,
Yeah.
these beats will make you
Feel crazy.
feel drug
Yeah.
effects. This is that song.
This one is like
This
you're
is the
actually
weed.
like.
I listened to it like 3 times. I listened to it once at work, just while writing and stuff, because fortunately, like I can't write while listening to music with a lot of lyrics. This is perfect for that because there's not a ton of lyrics, and when they are on, it's very like chanty and kind of hard to understand them in the first place. Yeah.
It's like, okay.
And then the second time was just like I just had it on the background, and then the third time was this morning when I stopped and like actually made my notes and stuff for it. And all of mine are like time stamped.
Yeah.
Like 7 minutes 30 seconds, whatever happens. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it reminds me a lot of like early Sabbath or like
Yeah.
Kiss. Totally, yeah. Doom, stoner rock.
Oh yeah.
I love this stuff, but I don't anymore. Like it's the kind of thing that I used to listen to a ton in high school.
Yeah.
Where yeah, we just like get stoned and sit around and listen to stuff like this. and I don't anymore. And I've always wanted to get into Sleep. Like, it's a band that I'm like, I have a lot of respect for. I love all of their album art. It looks sick.
Yeah.
But every time I go to put on a song, it just doesn't like draw me in. And so I end it kind of preemptively. And this kind of forced me to not do that. And I actually really enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And because it's like, I don't know, it just puts me in a state of like constant, like that classic stoner rock head bob. You know what I mean? Where
Yep.
that's
I
it.
know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Like, you guys can't see us, but I'm literally just bobbing my head in
I
time.
can't confirm he is bobbing.
And that's all you do for like
He's chopping his hands.
An
I was
hour.
also bobbing.
There's some hand chopping going on. There's some bobbing.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to talk about it more.
You know the one scene in Heavy Metal where the girl is flying the
bird thing?
the bird thing
Yeah.
to fight in the arena?
Yeah, near the end, right?
Yeah. That's his song.
Say less.
That's his song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What song is that? Actually?
I don't remember what it's
I'll
It's
look
this
it up.
song.
I have that record. We can take a look at it.
I bought it
later.
for you.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome. It's a great album.
Yeah, great movie.
Really good movie.
Then you have listened to metal.
Well, I was watching the movie.
One
But they play like
Yeah, he's only watched
Oh
metal.
my god, you've only
Yeah.
watched heavy metal.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked what I saw.
Devo's version of working in a coal mine. Yeah, that's metal. That Stevie Nicks song. Oh yeah, that's metal. There's very little heavy metal in the heavy metal
Fair,
movie.
fair. But like, there's a few tracks and stuff. Like,
There's a track from the guy from Steely Dan.
oh
Is
really?
it Donald Fagen?
Donald
track in
Fagen.
there?
Yeah.
I think
Oh my
Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel's in it too. It's
Nah,
crazy.
No,
that's
no.
such a good song though. That video is a trip. Don't watch that video in your eye.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we listen to it one more time
Peter
and
Gabriel's a
then
chicken.
talk about more? I guess.
Yeah.
Proceeds the Weedian Nazareth.
Bow, 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 bow.
63 minutes later, we're back.
Well, since we're on the first song now, I can say this song sucks. I hate it. This song is bad. It took 2.5 minutes to get started.
Yeah.
And I'm
yeah.
saying started very generously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And about 8 minutes in, I was like, vocals, holy smokes.
Drop.
And then an hour later, it ended.
The most. I love the way this album starts. It's for me, it's so cinematic.
Yeah.
It feels like you're watching like just like one dude trekking in the desert,
Yeah.
and then suddenly it like zooms out when the drums come in.
Yeah.
You're
and
right.
you realize that
It
he's
is like
walking,
an OST. I like that.
like he's
Yeah.
walking through like you know you just like see the scale of where he's walking through.
There's different scenes in the record. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like-
very true.
Yeah.
Incredible, and then the way that the drumming is on this album,
fantastic.
It's just like this kind of like march
Constant.
almost.
It's absolutely constant. And I didn't.
relentless.
I didn't. Yeah, relentless is good. I didn't hear him like really screw up at any point either. And if they did this all in 60 minutes,
Yeah.
like it was like a one take, then that's very.
I mean,
impressive.
is this something super complicated? I don't feel like
No.
at any point I was like,
It's not complicated.
It's hard to
It's
play
it's the
that
length,
slowly.
but
consistently.
But consistently for 60 minutes at that pace is tough.
And
yeah.
think about how high they had to be.
Oh yeah.
And all of those riffs that they had to remember.
yeah.
Considering that some of those riffs, like if you look at this like thing, it's like departure, Matt. So before the 2-minute mark, that's when you say before the drums and stuff come in. So it goes departure Matt. That's
Yeah.
just the Matt
Yeah.
Pike, the guitarist. He repeats that riff 2 times. It takes 2.5 minutes. That riff is like 75 seconds long. So if you like stop paying attention for a moment and you forget where you are,
It's gone.
But do you think
You're
anyone would
screwed.
notice? All it is dun.
well, that's the thing about this album is that the incredible part about this album is that they're so subtle and unassuming with their changes that
Yeah.
makes it like every kind of thing where you're like, oh, it's this riff again, but then at the end it goes like with
Yep.
like a really cool like chromatic walk up, and then you're like, yo, you're just like, whoa.
I found that it was very much like a minute or two of it being in the background and me not paying attention to it, and then exactly it does a small change, and all of a sudden I'm brought back into it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is sick. and then it kind of fades back into the background for a little
See,
while.
for me, it just sounds like a 2-minute loop played for an hour.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. The vocals, I can't understand what he's saying.
For
But
most- for the most part, yeah,
he
you can. I had
sings,
to
and
look
then
it up.
ends and it goes back to like just music.
Yeah,
and
for
then
like
it goes
10
back to
more
singing.
minutes.
I'm like, this
Yeah.
is a loop. I've listened to it already. And then I'm like, no, it's only 40 minutes in. And then like 20 minutes later, I was like, okay, I don't. Do you put this on?
Like,
Do you listen to this?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you just appreciate the fact that it's an hour long and
It's a concept
technical?
album.
Or do you go like, I want to listen to some music. I'm going to put on Dopesmoker.
no, this is very much a challenging album. Like, it's a
Yeah.
pretentious, challenging album. It's not
I'm glad
like
you picked it.
yeah. Well, I'm a pretentious, challenging man. So, it's not it's not easy listening. If I wanted
This is
easy
no Chuck
listening,
Mangione.
yeah,
Yeah, like if you contrast Alex's album, which was light,
Yeah.
it was fun. This isn't light or fun.
No, it was the opposite.
Yeah, this wouldn't be in a Marvel movie like Chuck Mangione was.
Chuck Mangione was in a Marvel movie.
Feel So Good was in Doctor Strange.
Oh,
nice.
have I seen Doctor Strange? Maybe I haven't.
Except, you know what? When the villain comes on and things are going downhill, boom, that's where you,
know
cut
what?
to like a minute
when I
of
think of it as a
Dopesmoker.
soundtrack, I actually like it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't want to listen to it.
Sure.
But I would be like, yeah, I could see this being in a movie or like a really cool music video. I bet that would be
Yeah.
sick. But I can imagine being like, you're in the car, someone's like, here, let me put on a CD, and it's like, dun, dun. You're like on a road trip. You're like, what the hell is going on here?
I would actually.
very anxious right now.
I would love it for a road trip.
I think I'd be taken out to the woods to be shot.
it's actually a great driving album because
Yeah.
it is like it's just enough like the split focus of driving plus listening to the music kind of allows you to get into that almost like
Like
mantric
trance,
state. Yeah, and you're just like,
But is this the trance you want to be put in?
yeah, man.
This
Yeah.
is like if Jeffrey Dahmer. This is like scary. I'm listening to it right now in my ear.
Oh man,
And I can feel the anxiety racing in my body.
It's funny because I think
I don't get anxious at all listening to this. It's not
No.
an anxiety thing. It's like it's just a like, how do I put it? Dedicated or like resigned. You're resigned to your fate. That's how I see it more than an anxious.
If I was in the
kind of thing.
50s, I'd be the mom who's like, this is the devil's music. Burn it.
If
Yeah.
you play it backwards, they're saying "Hail Satan."
It's like, no, if you play it forwards, you're saying that.
yeah.
did you look at any of the lyrics actually?
No.
Okay, some of them are pretty amazing. First
Yeah,
off,
they're
it
pretty
opens
great.
it
Yeah.
opens with probably one of the most iconic weed calling
Yeah,
cards
yes.
of all of
yeah.
drop out of life with a bong in hand.
Yep.
Follow the smoke towards the rift-filled land. and then
literally what they're
proceeds
doing.
It's a Weedian.
proceeds the Weedian at Nazareth. So it's this mixture of this like holy and spiritual
Yeah,
imagery
biblical
and
imagery,
just
yeah.
weed.
They're the weed monks traveling across the land to spread
with their
Weed
caravan
monks.
of
Yeah.
weed.
Yeah.
Like weed priests, creedsmen chant the right. Judgment soon come to mankind.
And this is not ironic.
No,
No,
I don't.
no, this is
I don't
very
think so.
tongue in cheek.
They're
I
like,
don't know,
dude, imagine a world with like a weed priest and they're like, yo, and they start writing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're aware of like the stupidity of it, but it's also like the cool thing about this album is that mix of like very lowbrow content and like highbrow concepts
Yeah.
of like spirituality and existence
That's true. I'll give you
and
that.
religion and pilgrimage, and then like weed. Like,
I should have listened to this enhanced.
I remember
Oh,
reading.
100%. Yeah.
I remember reading a interview with Ministry where they were talking about their album where they put "Jesus Built My Hot Rod" on it,
Yeah.
which is also kind of like a dumb weed album. And they were also talking about how they spent their entire advance on drugs and then had to come up with the album for like $75. But the amount of weed imagery on this album is way over the top.
I mean, the album.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The album is called Dopesmoker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's literally
No,
I
called
wonder
Dopesmoker.
why.
Yeah. At least like Holy Mountain. It sounds like that could be about anything.
Yeah.
That could be, yeah. It's about a mountain.
I mean, their first song is called Dragonaut, but like, you know, they're all about the weed.
I wrote just when you think it's going to go somewhere, it
doesn't.
doesn't really.
That's a very apt take on this album.
Yeah.
And having said that, like, I'm okay with how how much it drags on.
It didn't feel repetitive to me. I know it is. Like that's
It's
literally
extremely repetitive.
Like Bell's right. It's just repetition with some minor changes a lot of the time with a few solos here and there.
There's a scene in Half Baked with Jon Stewart where he keeps naming things like, "Have you ever seen it on weed?"
Yeah, I
and
remember
it's
that.
just like this album is like, "Have you ever listened to Dopesmoker on weed?" I haven't.
No, me neither.
Oh, I definitely have. I've made it way better. I mean, it was really good at work when I was sober and listening to it in the background. But when I had to actually stop and sit down and listen and make notes, it was like, yeah, this is great. I don't know. I loved it.
It's one of those albums that I feel like when you give it the attention, it like pays you back in spades.
Yeah.
But like it is like
Pays you back in something.
yeah, it pays you back in
Weed.
shovels, literally shovels. But like it is like a demanding.
Yeah.
It's not a casual album.
Around
You made a lot of notes there, kiddo.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about this. Like,
Around-
my first note is pew 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 pew.
around,
I agree.
Around 7:30, I really like how many like all the cymbals and stuff there that come
Yeah,
in. It's
yeah.
really clangy. I like the quick guitar solo that he throws in, and then we finally get to singing. Like that's when the lyrics start. Is at like 7.5 minutes or something like that.
And then the
Yeah.
the beat follows the tone, or like the cadence of the,
Oh
the
yeah,
lyrics.
it's like
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
it's oh god, it's good.
And it's like such an interesting like adaptation of like Eastern spirituality
Yeah,
that they brought in terms of like just like kind of plotting, methodical. It is kind of like it is
a
very
march.
reminiscent of meditation.
Yeah.
and
Or like a
those-
monk chant.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I-
just like
yeah.
note.
I picture monks like climbing up a mountain basically with one of those incense burners and stuff.
Hell yeah.
But
And
it's
they're all
weed
just like
instead.
chanting.
The mountain's made out of weed, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not incense in there.
It's patchouli.
It's
Oh no.
it was patchouli.
And I think
Okay.
That's what like people like.
Oh, did you ask
like,
what it was?
Yeah.
California stoners playing with their hacky sack. That's what they smell like.
Yeah, that like it's
Patchouli.
because they used to use it on dead bodies. It's like a super overpowering smell, so they wear it to get rid of the weed smell.
Oh my
But it's
God.
like really strong itself. So like when you go into like an incense shop or a hippie shop and you have that like strong weird scent, that's patchouli.
Oh,
or at least more than likely.
I didn't know that.
hippie stank. I know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not. The
They're like,
not
no, you
weed
can't
hippie
smell.
stank.
It's just patchouli. It's like that's not good.
That's not.
That's not. A
It's
good
like
smell.
Febreze in a bathroom after a dump. It's just like it's.
It's
I
hot
know-
in here. I know you did.
I see you've used the bathroom at work before.
Yeah. There's Febreze in those bathrooms.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, I didn't understand the lyrics, what he was saying at first either. I think later they're a little more, they enunciate more, and you can definitely make out what they're saying.
Spotify helpfully puts the lyrics with the
It's not synced, but they are there.
Yeah, they're there. It's not synced. Yeah,
Right.
I
For
don't
Hot Lava Man, it's like you'll have to guess. I was like, oh, they don't have lyrics for that one. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't write another note until 14:30 or so. I found that it really brought my attention back with the guitar solo that comes in around there. It's a really good solo.
There are no bad solos in this album.
No,
All the guitars.
no,
Just
they're all good.
rip.
None of them are too complicated or super technical for the most part, but they're all really good.
Yeah, I think they're so dedicated to like almost a textural aspect because like every single guitar solo is like very sloppily double tracked. Like he plays the guitar solo a second time underneath it, but like he's not like really trying to play along with it. He's like letting the vibe like take him on it. So it's like these kind of like messy almost sounding, but it gives this like huge,
Very layered.
very
Yeah.
layered and like cool effect that's like very trippy, especially like on the second solo, which sounds like it's played down the hall. Like, and one thing I think that's really I admire about not only is just the reservation of being like, we're gonna have this like. It's funny to say that they're being reserved because the guitar solo is literally 2.5 minutes long, but on a 63-minute long album, it seems very short.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so that kind of like these kind of like they're like these oases in the desert.
Yeah.
They're just like you're just like "Ugh," and then it's like back.
Did you read about the recording of the album where they had an amp in its own room with a mic because the amp was so loud that no one could be in the same room
Oh my
with it?
god.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
These guys were very dedicated to
Champions,
their
yeah.
craft. I also want to shout out like Al Cisneros' bass because I feel like so much of the like riffs are focused on that kind of like mantra. They're like
Yeah.
do, and he kind of keeps it grounded in this kind of bluesier, groovy place, which is I think where the Sabbath worship really comes in.
Yeah.
like it sound like there's so much. His playing is so influenced by like Geezer Butler.
Totally.
And they even on their later record, they even have a song called Giza Butler.
Oh, do they? That's
yeah,
cool.
like they have.
That's cool.
It's. I mean, this is what. There's even a Tony Iommi reference in the lyrics here.
Oh, was there? Something about like lightning across
it's
the
like
sky or something like that?
Iomian, like the Iomian land or something.
Oh, cool.
They're very much.
Yeah, I definitely wrote like sounds like Black Sabbath if Ozzy Osbourne got lost somewhere, and then they all basically just kept playing and forgot what they were doing.
If they only found a troll to sing.
Yeah.
It's funny. The if you look the lyrics up on Google, there's a whole lot of ones that just have question marks right
Yeah,
after
I
them
saw
because it
that.
didn't pick it up.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Genius.com has our back though.
Yeah.
I swear there's an Naomi reference.
Well,
in
for
this.
the Hot Lava Man, because that's the next one on Spotify at least, I was like, hey, it's got lyrics. This is an actual song.
Yeah.
Little did I know, it just goes back into Dopesmoker pretty much. The
Yeah.
second half of the song, it just goes back to the beat. I was like, oh, that was a short song. I'm like, no,
It's 8
still
minutes
it just
long.
went back. I was very sad after 5 minutes just to get more.
No.
Another 3 minutes of Dopesmoker.
I didn't listen to
I was
that.
gonna say
only
they don't
listened
even
to
bother
Dopesmoker.
listening to
Yeah.
it because
No.
this pressing doesn't even have that song.
I was
Yeah.
just excited.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, something
lyrics,
different?
Let's go.
If you want to, like, their other albums are definitely more accessible and the songs are shorter and faster. Like, this is like definitely the like this idea, their concept,
yeah, it's
like
a concept
pulled
album.
to its absolute maximum
Yeah.
before it hits a breaking point. And you can see, and that kind of ends up being why the band broke up,
Yeah.
because Matt Pike goes on to High on Fire, which you can hear in his guitar solos. Like, they're a sludgy, fast metal band.
I basically see it as a giant like middle finger to record labels.
Yeah.
This is their first big release, right, on a label, and they're just like, okay, take the advance, smoke it, and then record this for 60 minutes. And it's good. I like it, but it's definitely like not mainstream.
No.
It is not catchy. This is
Oh yeah, it's not catchy at all.
This
Not
is-
even a little.
This is not for like most people, but the people that love this stuff, I guarantee you they love this album. There's something just like, I don't know, magical about it.
Yeah, so many of my notes are like, love a 2-minute guitar solo.
Yeah, love the
And then-
35-minute the drums that pick up after a little bit.
Or yeah, it comes back with that chromatic walk down. Good God,
Yeah.
love this freaking riff. And then also like at the 30-minute mark when the drums come in, like all of a
Yeah.
sudden the drums like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, you're like,
Wow. Wow.
it's just incredible.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy
And then-
how it just goes back and then pulls your attention right.
And then when they dip into like I think it's called Cultivator, maybe? No, I'm not sure. Where it goes into like they remove all the distortion. There's just kind of like some like flange on it, like a flanger on it, and it's just like they're like and they're like even playing some of the riffs again, but removed from that like insane distortion that they have. Sounds entirely different. And then they just come back, and the back half is basically just like a couple other riffs plus then reprising the opening, and it's just with all this extra energy, and it's just like so crazy awesome how they bring it on back, and with just this immense amount of drive.
Yeah, around like 50 minutes, there's kind of a big kind of crescendo where they really go ham for like, I don't know, a couple minutes. Nothing crazy, but like that feels like the climax of the album. And then there's like, it's just kind of cools down for 8 minutes or so after that, or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
when you first picked this album, I made a joke about how it's like a group of people listening to this, and they finish side A, and no one looks happy except for the one dude who wanted to listen to it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "All right, you ready for side B?"
Yeah.
And it's just more Dopesmoker.
Could I interest you in 20, 40 more minutes of this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, even here at the end, the second last riff is called Iomi's Vault.
Oh, sick.
So, like,
yeah.
they're very much Sabbath worship. I also said that this is a good note. This is a good album if you really like low C. Like, because they play that note a lot. I also think one of the things that they established as such an important part of the sound of stoner metal is just the hammer on to the note you actually want to play.
Yeah.
So much of this album is brum,
Yeah.
brum.
Yeah.
Instead of just going do do do, it's drun drun drun, like that, and it makes it just sound like sloppy and massive and really really
So
fucking
good.
high.
Yeah.
Like
The guitar really doesn't ring, it kind of growls,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the tone is just incredible.
Yeah.
I'd love to just get baked out of my gourd and go see them live. That would be really fun,
They're still
especially
touring, right?
especially knowing
like they
that
just started touring again because the
I
one
saw
guy
them a
had like
couple years
back
ago.
surgery or something like that.
I think
Matt Pike, yeah.
got surgery, and they also, he's sober, which is great. He was basically an alcoholic for a few years.
Oh yeah,
When he was touring with High on Fire, it was pretty bad. He still doesn't wear a shirt though.
Nice.
There's like, you search up Matt Pike on like Google Images, and
Not a single shirt.
there's like 2 pictures of him with a shirt on, and everything else is him just like drenched in sweat, shirtless with a guitar.
Hell yeah.
Like what a man. But yeah, they're touring again, and they're great.
did
Like,
they ever just perform Dopesmoker?
they perform sections of it.
Oh, that's not. They gotta do the whole thing.
Well, they did it
the
at Third
whole
Man
show.
Records
Yeah.
not too long ago.
I think they've done the whole
Yeah.
thing live, but like you only got like an hour long set, and they have a lot of other songs. They
Yeah,
wanna play.
sure. That's fire. That's fair.
So they'll play like about 20 minutes of it, and they'll play it kind of around in different
Sure.
parts because they'll flow into songs a lot. Like they're not like they're the kind of band that'll just be like
Yeah, they jam.
go into the next song.
Yeah.
As opposed to like stopping. And they were amazing. I remember I had to choose between seeing them and Carly Rae Jepsen.
Wow, that's a tough choice.
Yeah. Well, I figured that there was a higher chance that I'd see
CRJ.
Carly Rae Jepsen, and it's funny because I'm going to Carly Rae Jepsen tonight,
I was gonna say, is
and
that
we're
tonight?
talking
Yeah.
about this album today.
I know a lot of people going to see her, which is very random.
Really?
Dude, she's incredible.
I have no idea. I've only heard "Call Me Maybe."
Highly recommend listening to "Emotion" by Carly Rae Jepsen.
All right.
Although
I'll check it out.
Let's do
No,
it next
Jamie,
week on
you
Vinyl
gotta-
Verdict.
Do it.
Yeah, buy me a record from the concert so that we
I will.
can
I'll
pick
buy-
it
I'll
for
buy-
the
I will.
podcast.
I will buy and bring it to you.
Will we ever like a Plouffe pick?
If it's
Maybe.
Carly Rae
Rae Jepsen's
Jepsen,
the first one.
yeah.
Hey, well, the last one went okay.
Chinese Fountain?
Yeah, it was like better than average.
Better than average.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Now we for time. Do we need to fill more time?
No.
What's your Vinyl Verdict?
Yeah,
what did
like, yeah, what
did
would you
pay for it?
Yeah,
And what
yeah,
were your
that's
thoughts
a.
on
Oh
it?
yeah, how much was
okay,
this?
what I paid like I think $30 for
That's
it.
fair.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for a double LP.
and-
And this was back in 2012, and before
Still-
it got really expensive.
Considering like the quality of the jacket and the gatefold and everything.
Yeah.
And the pressing itself, if they're both 180.
Yeah.
Super cool artwork. You know, I'd pay even if I could only get this today for like $40. I'd probably buy it.
Yeah, they have a lot of other. They've been repressed a lot since, and they've maintained
Yeah.
good pressing. I don't know if they have the same special colors.
That's fine.
The easy special one that they do a lot is green,
Right.
because weed
Hey.
green. But this one's
Yo.
multiple colors. Weed green.
That's crazy. If you had to give it a number out of 10, what would you give it?
Oh, this album.
Objectively.
Well, no, it could be
it's
subjective.
it's music.
It's his list.
420 out of 10. No,
4.2.
I think this
This is like a Jamie rating.
is an essential, legendary classic album, and anybody who has an interest in stoner metal, or doom metal, like this is like the record for that. And I think it's essential listening for anybody who's interested in like the history
Right.
of metal, especially if they're kind of working through the 90s. It's
Yeah.
just like such a representative work. It's undeniably a classic. For me, it's like a 10. It's just so good. It's a
Wow.
9 or 10. I think
Wow.
it achieves exactly what it wanted to do.
Sure.
And it does it without giving anything up, without compromise, and I just love it. It's so good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bell, what do you think? I think you're probably
I'll
the
keep mine
biggest
short.
opposite.
I'll keep mine
yeah.
short. Not for me. Bottom of the list, below Rejoice Rappers Are Rapping Again by Gift of Gab. Not for me. I hope to never hear this again. Jamie, what are your thoughts?
Oh, this is a 10. I rate it out of 13, though.
That's still pretty
It's
good.
still
That's
pretty good.
solid.
That's actually pretty good. Jamie usually gives like a 7 or an 8. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
this is a 10 out of 13. This is a... So much of metal after like 1985 or 6 is about speed.
Yes, it turned into speed metal.
This album is about slow. And it does slow good because there's a lot of bands out there like Ghost and like bands that are like do slow and brooding metal and like doomy, gloomy crap. Well, not crap, but like it's just like doomy and gloomy. And this one is like pleasant, but not approachable. But it's not. It's the lyrics aren't like guy got murdered by X-Men.
Yeah.
I'm like it's not like gory. It's not. It's just a bunch of weed guys weeding around. They're catching the green coochie in the chalice. What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows. But there's like moments of it where it is difficult to listen to, and then there's moments of great, like powerful riffs and really good solos. I liked it. I'm like, will I ever listen to it again? Well, maybe because I own it, but like it's not something I would put on. Like last night I put on Working with the Miles Davis Quintet,
Sure.
which is like jazzy because it's a jazz album, and it's kind of light.
That whole string of albums is so good.
Yeah, all the
Working,
cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, they were all recorded at the same time,
Yeah.
but. Like, that's the kind of album I would put on if I just wanted to ambient music.
Yes.
Like, I would not put Dopesmoker on if I wanted to listen to ambient music.
This is like the definition of hoe scaring music.
But anyway, well, let's flip to Dr. Plouffe here.
I really liked it. I grew up listening to like Black Sabbath like a lot. It was my favorite band in high school for like the longest time. I actually just picked up what's the purple album? Master of Reality. Yeah, love Master of Reality. This really took me back to that a lot, and I now want a copy. Except here's my big problem is, like I said before, I think as a record it's not good because it cuts it up, it stops it. This kind of album shouldn't ever stop until it's done. So that's my only real problem with it. You really do need 2 turntables to effectively listen to this. So I think as like an album of itself, it's like an 8 out of 10 for me. I love it. But as a record, I would love to own it for the artwork. But I'd probably never actually put it on. I would play a digital version of it. I'd go find it on Spotify
like
or
a
YouTube
CD.
or something, or a CD. Yes,
Yeah.
Since it's a vinyl verdict, what's your verdict for the record?
that's tough.
You haven't even
What?
I was gonna say I haven't even shown you guys like the parts where it edits.
Oh,
So
as a record in itself, I had trouble with this, and I think I rated it like an 8, but then as a record I put it as like a 5 for that one reason. I think having it in physical format almost ruins what it's trying to do, which is a problem. But it's amazing. I would listen to this like over and over. I would put this on today after we're done here while cleaning my house. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure
totally
your neighbors
would.
would love you.
Oh yeah, I don't care. I'll crank
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, you like cranking it.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, because of that one thing, I would rate it as a record pretty low, but as an album, it's pretty high. So I don't know.
Fair.
I'm very torn.
That's fair.
I do love this album quite a bit.
As a medium on, as something on vinyl, it is
Yeah.
it is not as good of a value.
Yeah,
yeah. I
but
understand
the
what you're saying.
artwork and the pressing itself looks fantastic, and so I would love to own it just as like a wall piece. This is something I'd put on a little record holder on the wall or
Yeah.
something. I love all their artwork.
Almost like Paul's Boutique because that's
Yeah.
like a quad gatefold
Yeah,
for the
super cool.
yeah.
You know what else is cool? My next pick
What are you picking?
What are you picking
from local Canadian, not local to Vancouver. She's a Canadian.
Local
Good
Canadian.
enough.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Winnipeg?
Winnipeg.
Ottawa.
Winnipeg.
Sorry. I'm choosing Fear by Begonia.
Cool.
A very
Okay.
powerful singer. I don't know if I'd consider her pop. It's kind of poppy, but like
Sure.
it comes from the soul, I feel. And I've seen her live a couple times, and she's one of those artists I will see every single time.
Well,
Unless I talk
soul
about the
soul is a genre. Like, would you call it a soul album?
I haven't listened to enough soul. I feel like I'd be a poser if I just said straight
Dang.
soul.
You've listened to Kanye, right?
Yeah, he's
First
soul.
2 Kanye albums.
Oh,
all the samples on that are like almost all souls.
No, it's not soul.
Okay.
More pop.
Cool.
But I'm excited to talk about it. Well, you know what? We'll discover together. You guys can tell me what genre it is next week on Vinyl Verdict.
Wow.
Look at that outro.
Thanks
we
for
end every
coming
time,
along.
right?
Yeah.
Proceeds the Weedians. Vinyl verdict.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. Follow Adam at he might be Adam.
Yeah.
You might.
I might
Maybe.
not. I might
That
be.
might be his at.
They might be
We'll
giants. He
find
might
out.
be Adam.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.
Take care.